be sure to hit that like button, demolish that subscribe button, leave a comment. No, I'm just kidding. But I want to do more of this long form variety about various topics that are relatable to you and I. As you might or might not know, Fativity was started to help those who are frequent travelers, busy executives, consultants, just people who are on the move and feel stuck, master their health and habits. And I feel like it's been a really underrepresented community, especially the traveling community, because there's such a blend of frequent travelers and those who want to master their health and might not just feel comfortable doing so or might not know the way to go about it. And I feel like I've truly had so much experience through the years and shown that through my travels as well. If you check out my Instagram or some of my other videos on YouTube. But I want to talk about how to build habits that are actually going to stick in 2025. And we hear this so much when it comes to habits and goal setting and the whole conversation that goes around it. And when I think about this, by the way, I want to make it more conversational. Like I really just want to sit down, want to talk to you guys, and I want to hear what you all want to talk about as well. So please leave a comment about things you want to hear me talk about, because I truly think I have a lot of experience to share when it comes to this kind of lifestyle on the move and whatnot, like I said. But one thing I've found that is so common, especially with New Year's resolutions coming around the corner, is setting these resolutions, setting these goals. And it's funny because one thing in corporate America that I learned, in the past decade, which was kind of grilled into me in terms of actually setting my corporate goals, it's called the SMART goals. So it has to be structured, measurable, attainable, realistic, and then time bound. I can't remember if I'm spelling those correctly. I'll write it on the screen to get the right words. I think it might be actionable, but either way, it's essentially making sure that they're not blind goals. And one thing that really just kind of irks me is the notion of goals without action. And we are, at the end of the day, the sum of our daily actions. And one thing that I have learned of my own experience is anything we're trying to do, it always comes down to how we break it down into our daily actions. And I'm going to use the simplest example. And I've never been a reader for most of my life. Like I read Harry Potter books when I was, a kid. I think the longest book I ever read was probably the seventh Harry Potter book. And in school and through college and stuff, like I would skim and whatnot, but like I never really had an interest in reading. And recently I really wanted to take that on. But in the past, when I tried to do that, I felt very overwhelmed. I was like, I'd pick up the book, I wouldn't know where to stop, I wouldn't know where to start, and then I just wouldn't continue. And, as I've developed this skill of consistency and actionable habits, or taking action, building habits to actually reach a goal, I was like, okay, I want to read more, but what am I actually going to do? What's my actual day-to-day step? And that was read 10 pages a day, non-negotiable. And it doesn't matter if it's a long book, if it's a short book. And what I found was once I do the 10 pages, more often than not, I'm going to end up reading more because I've hit the milestone. I know at a bare minimum, I'm going to finish at least one 300-page book every month just by doing that. And like I said, I end up doing more, and I've read more books in the last 3-4 months than I probably have in most of my life. I'm kind of that's just the honest truth of it. But it comes down to that exact principle, and it's the same thing. It's like when something becomes a priority to you, you're going to make time for it and you're going to put in the action that's required to get there. And it doesn't matter what the end goal is, it always has to break down into behaviors and actions that relate to your lifestyle. So when it comes to actually mastering this in 2025, we have to figure out what our priorities are, first and foremost. It doesn't matter, I hear this excuse all the time, I don't have time, this and that. Regardless of your situation, as human beings, we make time for the things that we prioritize. And if you prioritize a certain thing, you are definitely gonna find time. You're gonna find an excuse to, make something work. If you have a heart attack and you don't want to die and you recover, then you're gonna be like, okay, shoot, like I need to get my stuff in order. Like something like that. Being reactive is gonna be, bumping it up to the priority list. You're gonna have no choice, and that's gonna, because it's a priority, you're gonna change your daily action to match that. So why not do that proactively instead of reactively? And so specifically when it comes to travel, so last year I traveled to 13 countries, a bunch of states in the US, and weddings, personal trips, solo travel, etc., family trips. And there's a lot on the schedule for this year as well. But a lot of times, I'm sure a lot of you have been on a trip and you come back and you're like, I've gained all this weight, or you just don't feel like yourself. You're like, you're just not feeling as good because you go somewhere, you come back and you're like, all right, I have to restart. I'm so sore from my workouts. But it's not that you lack motivation. It's not that you lack the desire. It's just understanding that we need to have that self-accountability. And a lot of times it comes down to planning, game planning. So success after the trip, more often than not, always comes down to what do you do before the trip to set you up. So I'll give you a little overview of my recent trip. So I went to Europe, 5 different countries, and in the 2 weeks, I scheduled 5 workouts. And I'm on a program right now that I've written for myself. It's kind of like a strength program and a muscle building program hybrid. And so I made some compromises, and typically I lift weights 4 days a week. So that would have been, in the span of 2 weeks, typically I do 8 workouts. But since I was obviously traveling, I have my day trips, I have other things going on. It's not always practical to do the same exact routine. I ended up doing 5 workouts in the course of 2 weeks, and I still was able to maintain everything when I came home, pretty much exactly the same body weight, but I still stuck to my program. And all it took was a little bit of pre-planning. I pre-scheduled out the days I was going to work out, so it was a non-negotiable. If it was if I only had time in the morning, then so be it. If it was in the afternoon, after my tours, whatever, I just made it happen. And I created this tool actually for my own sake, which I have publicly now actually. It's on fativity.us/travel. It's a gym and market finder or locator. And I use this on all my trips. So basically I put in my Airbnb address or my hostel address, and it'll actually tell me the 15 closest gyms and the 15 closest markets. So then I can see, okay, this market's here. I can go pick up some protein shakes, some snacks. This gym is 400 meters from me. This one's, a kilometer away. And, you can go to the website, you can map it. Sometimes I'll call them, or if it's close enough, I'll just walk in, and more often than not, they have a day pass. But I ended up so I did 5 workouts on this trip in 2 weeks. And for some workouts, I had to combine the workouts. So instead of doing like a push workout, one day like I usually do a pull workout, I combined the two. I combined the 2 workouts and just did an upper body workout. So, obviously there's ways to be adaptable, but the thing is just to pre-plan and then make sure, just stick to those daily actions. That's what it comes down to. So that's the workout piece. On top of that, I was already walking so much. And because I had pre-planned these workouts, I knew I'd maintain my body composition and I'd stick to my strength goals. I was walking more, so I was obviously expending more energy, and I had pre-packed tons of protein snacks. So I took this doesn't matter if you're traveling to rural areas or like actual big cities. If you're in big cities, you can find protein snacks everywhere. Rural areas, it's always a hard word for me to say. Definitely pre-pack your protein, because that's the 2 hardest things to find when you're traveling are micronutrients and your protein. So I always pack that, but that's separate. But yeah, and then like I said, from the nutrition piece, I was making sure every meal, even though I was eating a burger or I was eating whatever, like I didn't sacrifice anything because I was moving more. I had my workouts and I was prioritizing my protein, so I could eat whatever I want. My cravings were down. I didn't have the even thought to overeat because I was just being mindful And if you do little things like that, pre-plan your workouts, you pack your protein snacks, you walk a lot, and you stay hydrated, then you can really do a lot in terms of just sticking to those daily actions. And it doesn't take a lot out of your trip. Like I'm telling you, over the past decade, I've worked out in so many gyms around the world, in the Middle East, in Asia, and obviously the US, North America, Canada, South America, Central America. And it's the same thing. It just comes down to what are our priorities, and then how are we gonna pre-plan the actions to actually get us there. And the best part is, I have a take that being on travel and on a trip is actually one of the best ways to start getting in shape. And that's because we typically tend to be moving more, and if we just put those little actions in place, when we come back, we're just gonna hit the ground running even stronger. We're gonna have motivation to just continue pushing. And motivation isn't everything, obviously. That, as you know, as I know, it comes and goes. But that's not that's gonna give us a little push, and then we need to make sure we reinforce those habits, those daily actions, and that comes down to us. Like, our word is our bond, and we have to just stick to it. So all that to say, like in 2025, I really don't want you, and I don't want myself, to just set blind goals. I want to make sure that we have an objective in mind and that it's a realistic priority. If it's not a priority, you and I both know it's not gonna get the attention it deserves. So we need to make sure these are realistic priorities, and then from there we're gonna structure the day around these actions. And routine is one of the best ways to do this. So it's pre-wired into your day. If you know you have to do these 5 actions and you can knock out a few of them right when you wake up, then just like once that becomes a routine, then it's like you don't even think about it. And before you know it, you look at yourself in 4 months or 6 months and you just see a different person, which is the craziest thing, because the smallest action every single day compounds so quick. So, I've been ranting a little bit, but I really want to hit the point of, if you're setting goals going into this year, try to think about it as your priorities, and not just your goals, but what are the daily actions that you're gonna need to get you there. So anyways, if you got some value out of this, I kind of like this. I've been telling myself I want to start doing weekly posts. Whether that'll happen in 2025, we'll see. Again, is it a priority for me? Everything comes down to your why. Like, what's your inner drive? What's the why behind why you're doing something? Once that sticks, then obviously you take action. So for me, I'm trying to figure out where long form YouTube fits in the mix with everything. It's something I know I need to do to continue to provide more value, and I want to do because I enjoy this kind of thing. I haven't done a video like this where I'm literally just talking to you guys. And yeah, so hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you're working, maybe you're on the treadmill. If you got any sort of value, it's a small channel. I have like 270 subscribers. Most of them have come from shorts. So I don't even know how many people are gonna watch this. But either way, like the video, it'll help boost the algorithm, as they say. And leave a comment if there's any other topics. I have a whole list of topics I want to talk about. Tell me if you like this format, or you want to go to something else. If you want a more concise, more chopped up like I've done in the past, or you like just more raw, authentic conversation. But anyways, it's Friday, so I'm gonna get on with the rest of my evening. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.